We're going to talk about 5 investments that parents need to make. Coming up.
Stay tuned.
Welcome to an all-new edition of the Sunday Night Sit Down with His and Her Money. I'm Talib.
And I'm Ty, and we're from hisandhermoney.com, where we're managing money, marriage, and everything in between.
The Sunday Night Sit Down is being brought to you by Legal and General America.
It's time to get your life insurance together with Legal and General America. As one of the nation's leaders in low-cost, high-quality life insurance to over 1.3 million families, we know how to protect you. For nearly 7 decades, we've been the first and only carrier to add 10 more years of security to our policies for a total of 40 years of life insurance coverage. If you need basic protection until retirement, that deal is perfect. Legal and General America makes understanding and applying for life insurance easy. Our agents are standing by to help you determine the best coverage to fit your family's needs. Visit hisandhermoney.com/LGA to get started on your journey toward financial wellness.
So family, we want to dig into this topic. We want to talk about some investments that parents need to make. Now, that could be you as a parent today, or maybe you aspire to be a parent one day, or maybe you have family or friends that are parents as well. Either way, this information is super imperative, and I don't think there's enough conversation around it, but that's why His and Her Money is here, because we want to help. It's one thing to be in your adulting mode and you don't have kids, but when kids come into the picture, when there is another human being or multiple human beings depending on you and the decisions that you make, it's time to level up, and especially when it comes to how we interact with our money. So that's why we want to talk about this topic right here, right now.
That's right. You guys know that we are parents of 3 beautiful children, and we are always having conversations around, are we doing the right thing? Are we teaching them enough? Are we being the example that we need to be? So we knew that we had to bring this content to you guys because we know a lot of you guys are in our same shoes. So let's start with number 1. Again, this is in no particular order, but all very much so important. All right, so number 1, you must have an emergency fund. What is an emergency fund? An emergency fund is an account for funds set aside in case of the event of a personal financial dilemma, such as the loss of a job, a debilitating illness, or a major repair to your home. An emergency fund, some people don't like to call it emergency fund. Maybe they like to call it opportunity fund or Murphy fund, whatever it is, guys, it doesn't matter. There are going to be some things that come up that can get you off of track. Maybe you can't cover it in your typical monthly income that you receive every single month. That's why you need to have money aside in the event that you need to pull from it. It can be for a car repair. I mean, it can be for, even if you lost a job and maybe you just needed to live. It's so important. Now, how much of emergency fund all depends upon you and your personal financial situation. Some people like to set aside just a certain dollar amount while they're getting out of debt. Some feel comfortable with having at least 3 months or even 3 to 6 months. And some may feel comfortable with having 12 months of expenses put to the side in a separate account in the event that you may need it. Now, the way that you're going to come up also with how much money you need to put aside in times of by whatever, how many months, or if you have a certain dollar amount, you want to sit down, look at all of your expenses and write it down on paper. How much does it cost you to run your entire household every single month? That's paying for mortgage and rent. That may be paying for car payments. That may be paying for utilities. That may be paying for kids' tuitions. Whatever it is, you want to make sure that you come up with that dollar amount and then plan from there. Now, we highly, highly, highly recommend and encourage that you set up your emergency fund in a separate bank that's totally separate from your personal or primary checking and savings account. Now, you may ask why. Well, we like to sort of protect ourselves from ourselves. So believe it or not, we have our emergency fund and we like to have it in a whole separate bank account that maybe we have to drive 20, 25 minutes to get to. Why is this important? Because we're not looking at it every single day. So many times you try to save, right? You know that you try to put money aside. You're like, man, how come it's hard for me to save? It's because you're looking at it probably on a daily basis when you pull up your account balance. And you're like, I have that money. I could just transfer it over and I can go buy those shoes that I need, or maybe I can go buy these concert tickets or whatnot. No, you need to protect yourself from yourself. You do not need to dip into this money unless it's strictly for personal needs that come in the way of an emergency.
The truth is, it's not a matter of if an emergency is going to arise, it's a matter of when. It's
right.
bound to happen. And when you're a parent, you have to just be more proactive than normal. We interviewed someone on our podcast where she was on our show sharing her story of debt freedom. But what happened is, not too long after she was able to accomplish that, guess what? She got an unforeseen pink slip and she was laid off. And she was a single mom with 2 kids. But fortunately, she had an emergency fund. And because she did, it made that devastating event not as devastating. And she was able to float as she prepared to find new employment. The next investment that you need to make is in your financial literacy. Financial literacy is the possession of the set of skills and knowledge that allows an individual to make informed and effective decisions with all of their financial resources. This is imperative. I know personally that this was a game changer for me. Now, you can see his and her money in our today stage, but way back when I, one half of this equation, was a financial mess and had no financial literacy at all. And as a result, I was making mistakes on top of mistakes on top of mistakes with my money and ended up in a financial situation that I did not want to be in. And once I got to the place where I was fed up and had enough of being in this destructive financial cycle, I knew that I needed to turn things around. So what did I do? I started reading books that had to do with personal finance and reading articles that had to do with personal finance and watching television shows that had to do with personal finance. Why? Because I knew that the only way to get out of this mess was to increase what I knew and understood about money. And that's going to be the case for you too. And in today's situation, this is the financial or any type of information age. You're really without excuses. There's something that you don't know, you can find an answer. Whether that's going to your local library or to your local bookstore and getting books around the topic, or listening to podcasts like the His and Her Money Show, for example, or watching videos like this. One thing that we like to do even presently is we turn our commutes into opportunities to learn. Way back when I used to commute, I used to love listening to sports talk radio because I'm a sports fan. But was that really helping me grow? No. Was that helping me develop or get to the place that I wanted to be in life? No. So I made a change. I made a shift. Now when you're in the car with me, you're probably going to hear an audiobook or a podcast being played because I turned our car into Automobile University. We're always learning. We're always growing. Instead of just listening to stuff that's not taking us anywhere, Ty and I make sure that we're filling ourselves with knowledge, especially when it comes to financial literacy.
And why I love our mobile university so much is because it actually sparks conversations amongst us, and therefore we're able to have conversations even with our children. So as you know better, as you learn, trust me, you're going to be able to pour that into your children. We even allow our children to listen to some of the very same content that we listen to, and we have a discussion. So make sure that you involve your children. Be as transparent as you can. I mean, I always feel like giving your children the truth is better than trying to live a facade or a lie in front of them because you don't want them to think that maybe you're not as well off as you want others to think that you are. I find that children are very, very resilient. They understand, but they also learn from you. Yeah. Now, it's not too late. We were recently at a leadership training this past weekend, and one of the speakers said something that was so profound. He said that between the ages of 2 and 8, those are the most impressionable years for your children, like to learn. And if you want to be able to get something into them, you want to be able to do it during that time frame. And it made me also start thinking about those who may not have children within that age frame. Guys, it's never too late. Still make the choice today to make sure that you instill financial wisdom in your children. Again, look, you're a living testament to the fact that you can be one way and you can also make a decision to change. And now it's going to affect your children for the better.
That's right.
Number 3 is life insurance. Life insurance is insurance that pays out a sum of money either on the death of the insured person or after a set period. You all, we cannot stress this enough. If you have children, anyone that is depending on you, you need to have life insurance in place. Our video sponsor, Legal & General America, great company. We had the opportunity to really just get to know the company on a whole nother level because you guys know that we never will mention anything to you all on our show, on our platform that we ourselves would not use. You guys matter to us. So anytime we put anything in front of you, trust and believe that we have done our due diligence. And this particular company, hands down, phenomenal group of people.
Absolutely.
And company. They really care about people, and I love that. But I also love that they only recommend whatever you've heard Ty and Talent mention in the past, and that is term life insurance. You will never hear us mention any other type of insurance to pick up. Term life insurance is simply insurance that you purchase for a certain term. It could be 20-year, 30-year. What we just also recently found out is that Legal and General America, they were the first insurance company that offer a 40-year term. Mm-hmm. That's unheard of. Like
crazy. When
we were doing it, I think we got a 30-year, but there was not a 40-year option.
Nope.
So now you are without excuse. The reason why also we love to have term insurance is because the premiums really are most times very, very cost effective, very, very affordable, leaving you without excuse in order to pick up insurance. And it's also very, very important that you have insurance as well as outside of your employer. Recently, I was reading a news article, and I'm not really so sure what the company was, but this particular company just got rid of all of their employees' life insurance policy. Oh my gosh, this is exactly why you don't want to be dependent on someone else making the decisions for you. And you want to definitely make sure that you get insurance on your own, because anything can happen. You can lose your job, or in this case, they can drop coverages. You can actually come up with an illness. You want to make sure that you're proactive. So you may be asking, well, how much coverage should I get? We like to recommend at least, at very minimum, 10 times your annual salary. So it looks a little bit like this. If you make $50,000 a year, times that by 10, you should be getting at least a $500,000 policy. Now, we know that everyone's financial situation is differently. That's why we highly recommend that you talk to the pros. And if you want to know more information, go to hisandhermoney.com/LGA, as well as the links are in the description box below. Now, some of you all also may need to be revisiting your current plan. Maybe you're overinsured, maybe you're underinsured. It's not too late to make sure that you revisit that. So it's so important, guys. You don't want to wait till the time when something happens and your family needs you even the more. What's very interesting, a very interesting fact that I had no idea, you and I both didn't know, that there are certain parts of the country, as well as just different cultures or whatnot, where they actually pull out life insurance policies at the same time that they get their mortgages. I'm like, that's brilliant. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Smart move.
Very, very smart. A lot of times your mortgage is probably your most expensive debt that you carry. And so when you take out a 15-year or a 30-year mortgage, a lot of people are kind of like safeguarding that by taking out a policy for the same amount of term to be able to cover in the event that they were to pass on and that their family would need to be able to take care of their financial affairs. So guys, there's a lot of different reasons on why you need to be having life insurance, and you definitely need to have it if you are a parent, because your children are counting on you.
Next thing we want to talk about is retirement accounts. That's right. You need to be thinking about retirement today. No matter how young or not so young you may be, retirement's going to come and you need to be prepared. And so that is something you need to be thinking and taking action on now. Why? Because the sooner you get involved, the better off you'll be, because of a little thing called compound interest. And what that means is when you invest some money, hopefully, your money makes money. And the way hopefully, and the way compound interest works is not only does the money that you put in make money, but the money that your money makes money. And it begins to compound on top of each other over time. And because you do it sooner rather than later, you take advantage of more compound interest, as opposed to if you wait, oh, I got time, I'm just getting into my career and I'm focused on other things right now. You're missing out on a great opportunity. Think about when you are on a flight. The flight attendants, they come and they do their presentation, and one of the things that they tell us is if there is an emergency situation and the airflow in the cabin is getting interrupted, that you are supposed to put on your mask first. It doesn't tell you to put your mask on your child first, and it's the same way financially. A lot of times as parents, we want to give our children the world and make sure that they have things that we didn't even have. And so we find ourselves funneling money in their direction for them and their needs and even their wants. And we do that at an expense to ourselves. And we find that, oh, I don't have enough money to put away for my retirement. That's you putting the oxygen mask on the kid first, and that is not how it's supposed to be done. because you're going to retire. And what you don't want to do is get to the point of being able to retire chronologically, but financially you're not in good shape, because then now you become a burden to your children. And as parents, we never want to be a burden to our children. So we need to be looking at investing in our retirement accounts now. A good way to get started with investing for retirement is right at your employer. Usually employers have what's called a 401k or a 403b. And another phenomenal feature in some instances, because not all companies have this, is sometimes companies match the contribution that you put into these accounts. So what that means is up to a certain dollar amount or up to a certain percentage for every dollar that you put into this retirement account, they will match it dollar for dollar. So if you're not taking advantage of that, what are you doing? You're leaving free money on the table, because when you don't put money in it, they don't put money in it. So we want you to have a big fat retirement account when it comes time for you to retire. And that means that you need to be taking advantage of this. Another retirement investing vehicle is an IRA, individual retirement account. And that is something that you can do independent of an employer, that you can do directly with a financial services institution, where you can set up a retirement account and make contributions that way. There are some restrictions, so you need to make sure that you talk to a financial professional to get all of the details and the regulations around that. The point is, you need to be not only thinking about your future in the form of investing for your retirement, but taking the proper action to get it done.
That's right. Number 5 is that of a will and testament. A will or testament is a legal document by which a person, the testator, expresses their wishes as to how their property is to be distributed at death, and names one or more persons, the executor, to manage the estate until its final distribution. Guys, this is so very important, especially if you have children, that you have a will and testament in place. You want something written down on paper. We highly recommend that you consult an attorney. There are a lot of free resources online or DIYs, do it yourselves and things like that. But you want to make sure that you try to get a professional involved, just so you're crossing every T, dotting every I. But this will allow you to be able to pretty much give your wishes. Where do you want how do you want your money to be handled? How do you want your home to be handled? Who gets what? I remember years ago, I lost a dear family member, one that I loved dearly, and I expected her to always be around. You know, it was that type of person. But I remember being by her bedside, and she took her last breath. And literally after she took her breath, I saw family members, taking items. They were even taking items off of her. And it shocked me, because I was a little younger then, but I was like, is this how everyone gets everything? They just take what they want. And, you know, I'm like, can't this cause confusion and chaos and sometimes even disagreements and arguments? Some family members that you very well may know of, that they probably lost someone and they may not even be talking to this very day. So it's so important that you put your wishes and your desires on paper.
That's right. Listen, another uncomfortable topic, I know, but you got to have it. Your family is dependent on you to put things in order. And you need to be proactive. That is one of the habits of highly effective people, according to Dr. Stephen Covey, is to be proactive. So you need to set up a will and make sure that things are in place, because, again, you don't want to create a situation of strife between your loved ones. You want to make it systematic and as peaceful as possible.
That's right. Now, it is very important, again, that you're not just making this verbal, right? I know some of you guys may be saying, oh, well, everybody already knows who I want to get this and who I want to take care of the kids and whatever. No, that's why it's so important that you put it on paper and that you get a proper will in place, because this will alleviate, again, any confusion, any disagreements, or anybody saying, well, this person, they told me this and that. No, it's already written down in pen and paper. I remember when your father passed, your mother came by a few months later, and she actually revisited her will. She made some changes. She made some updates. And she also talked with us about it. So not only is it just important to make sure that you get it written down, but that you do talk to your family members, because you don't want anybody to be caught off guard. Now, granted, you do have to be careful and maybe not tell everybody, right? Because some people may have impure motives, or maybe they may be jealous and not understand. But you want to definitely make sure that you at least allow them to know, where do you keep your will? Just different things like that. You guys, having real financial conversations, especially with your children or those who will be taking care of your children, is so very, very important.
These are investments that you cannot afford to not make. these are things that are a must. We wanted to share some essential investments with you because, listen, as you're part of our family, we want you to win. We want you to be on top of things so that you become in a position of power and strength in every area of your life.
That's right. So we hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. We want to hear from you. Leave us a comment in the comment section below and let us know which one out of the 5 that you're going to get started with or on right away. Now, you definitely need to make sure that you do all of these, and we definitely have more tips that we can also be giving and that we will be giving in the future, but it's so important that you don't delay and that you start now. Also, share this video, share it on social media, Facebook, and when you do, tag us. We love to see your comments. We love to also respond if we're able to, but it definitely puts a smile on our faces.
Well, that's all we got for this time, guys. It's been great. Until next time, peace.
Bye.